Willie Hugh Nelson, born April 29, 1933 in Abbott, Texas, is a country music legend whose life spanned both glorious highs and sorrowful lows. Looking back at his journey at the age of 91 in 2025, his greatest sadness is not the financial hardships that nearly cost him everything, nor the drug arrests or career setbacks, but the loss of loved ones, especially the death of his son Willie Nelson, and the feeling of helplessness in not being able to protect his family from life's suffering. This sadness is not just a single event, but a series of heartbreaks that weaved over decades, like a sad country song that he wrote with his own life. Willie grew up during the Great Depression, a difficult time in rural Texas. His parents divorced when he was young, leaving him and his older sister, Bobby, in the care of their grandparents. Though raised with love, Willie always felt the void left by the absence of his biological parents. But the real sadness that etched itself into his soul came in 1991, when his eldest son by his first wife, Martha Matthews, Willie "Billy" Hugh Jr., committed suicide at the age of 33 after years of struggling with depression and alcoholism. Billy was Willie's pride and joy, a young man who shared his father's sensitivity and musical talent. Billy's passing left Willie in an agonizing silence. "I lost a part of myself when Billy left," he once shared in a rare interview. "I wish there was something I could do to save him, but I didn't know where to start." That lingering pain never left him, echoing in every song he wrote later. In addition to Billy's death, Willie has been grieving other losses. His sister Bobby Nelson, his lifelong musical companion, died in 2022 at the age of 91, leaving him alone on the journey they once shared. Bobby was not only his sister, but also the soul of his band, the Family Band, playing the piano with rare flair. Her passing left Willie feeling like he had lost half of his heart. "Bobby was everything to me," he once said at a memorial concert. "Without her, my music wouldn't be the same." This sadness deepened when he looked back on the broken families of his 3 previous marriages, relationships that he had not been able to keep intact despite his best efforts. Willie Nelson's greatest sorrow was not only personal loss, but also the feeling of being alone in a crowd. Despite being adored by millions of fans, he often felt lost, like a wanderer on the endless road he sang about in On the Road Again. At 91, he still carries that sadness, not with sadness, but with a quiet acceptance, the way he accepts the low notes in the music of his life. Willie Nelson's career spans more than 7 decades, and he has written some of his greatest chapters and starred in some of his most heartbreaking ones. He rose from a boy playing guitar at local Texas parties to one of the greatest icons of outlaw country music, breaking the mold in Nashville to make his mark. But the road was not easy, and the tears he shed are testament to his perseverance and relentless passion. Willie's first success came not as a singer, but as a songwriter. As a struggling young artist in Nashville in the 1950s and 1960s, he wrote such timeless songs as Crazy, made famous by Patsy Cline, Hello Walls, performed by Farron Young, and Funny How Time Slips Away. These songs brought him fame and fortune, but he had yet to find his place on stage. In 1973, with the album Shotgun Willie, Willie began to define his outlaw country style, combining country music with rock, jazz, and folk. The album, while not a major commercial hit, paved the way for his big break with Red-Headed Stranger, 1975. This is a narrative masterpiece, simple but emotional, catapulting Willie to the top with the song Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. The album was not only a critical success, but also sold millions of copies, making him a superstar. Following his success, Willie joined Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, and Chris Christopherson to form the supergroup The Highwaymen in the 1980s, producing platinum-selling albums and world tours. Songs like On the Road Again, 1980, To All the Girls I've Loved Before, a 1984 duet with Julio Iglesias, and Pancho and Lefty, with Merle Haggard in 1983, cemented his status as an all-around artist, not just in country music, but in popular culture. He also appeared in more than 30 films, from The Electric Horseman, 1979, to Honeysuckle Rose, 1980, proving that his talents extended beyond music. But Willie's career was not without its setbacks. His early years in Nashville were dark, as he was rejected by record labels because his unconventional voice and style didn't fit the glossy trends of the time. He worked as a radio DJ and sold Bibles to make ends meet, and at one point sold the rights to Nightlife for a pittance to make ends meet. The 1990s brought another blow when the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, sought $16.7 million in unpaid taxes. To pay off the debt, Willie sold most of his assets and released the album The IRS Tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories, 1992, an experience he described as being stripped naked in front of the world. He once cried when signing the papers to sell his beloved Texas home, which held memories of his children. Willie's tearful efforts came not from failure, but from dedication to the point of exhaustion. In 1985, he joined Neil Young and John Mellencamp to organize the first Farm Aid concert to support American farmers. He worked tirelessly, sang himself hoarse, and slept on the tour bus to raise money for the event. I cried when the farmers came to thank me because I knew how hard it was, he recalled. Another time, while recording Stardust, 1978, an album of covers of classic songs, he cried with emotion while singing Moonlight in Vermont, recalling his poor days in Texas. Willie Nelson's career is a symphony of glory and pain, where every note was written with his sweat, tears, and heart. Willie Nelson wanted to be more than just a great singer or songwriter. He wanted to leave a legacy that went beyond music, one of compassion, freedom, and love for humanity. One of his greatest accomplishments was his work to protect and support American farmers through Farm Aid. Since 1985, he has made Farm Aid an annual event, raising tens of millions of dollars to help farming families keep their land and sustain their livelihoods. I want them to know that someone cares, he said. At 91, he still appears at every Farm Aid concert, despite his failing health, proving that this is not just a project, but a lifelong mission. He also works to change society's view of marijuana. A passionate advocate for the legalization of cannabis since the 1970s, Willie founded the brand Willie's Reserve in 2015, providing high-quality cannabis products and promoting research into its medical benefits. He dreams of a day when cannabis is recognized as a natural herb, no longer stigmatized. If God put it on earth, why would we ban it? He once asked in an interview. This achievement is not just a business, but a declaration of the personal freedom he has always fought for. In addition, Willie always strives to make his music a bridge between generations and cultures. He has covered songs from jazz, pop to gospel in Stardust, bringing country music closer to a global audience. He wants his music to be more than just entertainment, but a common language of humanity. At 91, he continues to write books, make films, and perform, hoping to inspire a younger generation with perseverance and passion. These achievements are not measured by awards, although he has won more than 10 Grammys, but by the lasting impact he has left on the world. Willie Nelson's Love and Marriage is a long book with 4 chapters, each filled with emotions ranging from intense joy to deep sadness. He was married 4 times, and each marriage left him with lessons and scars. His first marriage to Martha Matthews, 1952 to 1962, was a stormy young love affair. They had 3 children, Lana, Susie, and Billy, but their life was marred by violence and alcoholism. Martha once sewed Willie into a blanket and beat him with a broom, a story he recounts with a bitter laugh. The greatest sadness from this marriage was the separation from their children when they were young, and later, Billy's death. His second marriage to Shirley Collie, 1963 to 1971, began with a love of music, as they sang a duet, Unwillingly. But it ended in heartbreak when Shirley discovered Willie had fathered Connie Kupka's child, Paula Carleen, over a hospital bill. Willie admitted he had been wrong, and his grief was the destruction of a relationship he had once cherished. His third marriage to Connie Kupke, 1971 to 1988, produced two daughters, Paula and Amy Lee, and was the most stable period of his life. But as Willie's career took off, they drifted apart, leading to divorce. "I wasn't easy to live with," he once said, and Connie tried her best. His fourth marriage to Annie D'Angelo, which began in 1991, was the longest and happiest. They met in 1986 on the set of Stagecoach, where Annie was a makeup artist. Despite a 23-year age gap, Annie brought a sense of security that Willie never had. They had two sons, Lucas and Micah, and together they overcame many challenges, from tax debts to legal issues. The only downfall in their marriage was when Willie worried that he wasn't spending enough time with Annie because of his busy touring schedule. "I wasn't the perfect husband, but Annie was there for me through thick and thin," he once told Rolling Stone. At 91, he considers Annie his one true love, the one who helped him find balance in his life. Willie Nelson had 7 children from 4 wives, each of whom was an integral part of his life, bringing both joy and pain. Lana Nelson, born 1953, Susie Nelson, born 1956, and Billy Nelson, born 1958, were his children with